my first time west of the Mississippi since the mid-90s, and it's so good to be out here. So a lot of these poems are kind of geographical. This is called Why I Live at the P.O. Box. I like to eat beans every day, the Brazilian songs you can almost understand. I try not to go to bars during lingerie contests. Specific dynamics, nothing secular. Friction is as important as lather. More beans and less ice cream. Common stains, blood, candy. Toxic boosters, garlic with an attitude. Genius obliges a gal with a detachable face, criticized for crime. The natural movement has been released. It's a chick thing. I like the attention I get for showing off my body. I like men, but I don't trust them. Even Ivan. From college girl to working woman, 201 big city jobs for girl grads. The Swedish bikini team offered burial insurance and sponsored social events. During this period, I worked as a locum. Why did you get married? Women emerging from the sex industry. Screen love. A room of one's own with a view. Dark people look good in colors. Pretend you're in a real city. Surrender with grace. Wait for recovery. It only takes 19 hours to get to Pocatello. After crossing out all these things, we are ready. I just want to mention that when I was at UCSD and we did study with Charles Bernstein, we did a lot of found poetry, so a lot of these lines were, shall we say, appropriated? Not this poem, though. This is a poem about my old doggy, Lopez. The first dog was his. The second dog was mine, only it was more like a wolf, coyote, a deer, or a goat, sometimes a cat. I have been separated from my familiar. I can still feel his fur, the heat of his body, not certain which of us was the servant, which was the witch. One of us could fly, one of us spoke in tongues. I'd chase him through the alleys, Monday morning runaway. He'd lead me laughing through the marine layer. He'd lead me home in sheepish clothing. Splashing swamp Louisiana red comes screaming out of the esplanade trees, explaining he howled for 3 nights without sleeping, shot up with Valium and sodium pentothal. Vision quest. When we left the west, his eyes glowed roses on haunted Hualapai Mountain, bonded, responding to Mojave coyotes. Hunting, found a mouse hibernating in the snow. Let it go, watching it run up a tree. Years later on Laguna, back legs weakening, he digging under crusty ice layer for small furry creatures. The kitten he cared for licking the little skull between his jackal jaws. He'd say hello for half an hour when I came home from work. Stole milk bones out of the closet in the middle of the night. When there was a full moon, he'd lose his fur at midnight, borrow the car and a leather jacket, go out cruising for ribs and Kentucky Fried Chicken and try to run over cats. I saw him climb a ladder. I saw him walk on water. He loved Elvis and he hated flies. To say all men are dogs is really unfair to the dogs. I wrote that when I was younger. Last weekend in Los Angeles. Nature is a mother, older, so blatant, a trumpet of colors you can feel. My short skirt, Minutemen tape, Saturday night desperation. What would Debbie do? Any of my locker room friends. Literature outlives religion. Brandy, bud in cans. Because I do not make love, it does not exist. Free pupusa when you buy 10. The whole Hollywood, a city that exists for the purpose of fiction. The industry, a few who fool us. Something for everybody. The skins of women in the cinema, a thin film on the lens, plastic and surgery. I do not find myself in the dark, driving on wet streets, blank and noir, the alcohol, the car, the palm trees surreal above the stucco and cement and wire, black tires on black freeway, night sky glowing pink with chemicals. What a scene, tarot reading at a Halloween party. He did it for love, but it came up money. Dancing with a witch in the kitchen, a man with a green face and a black dress pressed against me. The wet coast. This is the West Coast. We eat tortillas instead of toast. We drink a lot of water, and sometimes we hold up our arms in the wind, which feels good. Success is a place, the absolute beauty of the sky. The sun was my favorite drug. I gave up atmosphere for clarity. On the road trip. Beth Borrus, she's never been to the ballet. Elbows on the table. Nothing matters in Mexico. Papas and beer in Baja, her birthday. You don't have what you've got till it's gone. The green flash. Marijuana in California. Vegetable inspection, a safety pullout. Do not drive into smoke. Hitchhikers may be escaping inmates. Skull boiling, all wild game fully processed. Don't mess with Texas. Don't leave that trash in Oklahoma. A hotel room in Joplin, Missouri. Gideon Bible on the table near the window is open to the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie. At an Ohio rest area, photographs of murdered prostitutes haunting the wall. Accept Jesus Christ as your Savior now or as your judge later. I started bleeding in Pennsylvania the new year in New Jersey. Daylight is darker here, the rain-black trees. It smells like hamburgers everywhere. Roads between highways. The highways are not freeways. No tax on water. These are a couple of poems that reference Harry Smith, who would have been 90 this year had he lived. Vulcan. I sit in this room imagining a moon. This window led me to a world and back again, because you can go home, because of people with names of beasts, a wolf in goat's clothing, a gull, to exist as the interruption. A cartwheel in ShopRite, the unexcused movement, puking in the audience at the Performing Arts Center. 3 giggling women rising as one at the front of the auditorium, walking out when the moment got old. Discussion. 3 amazing women drinking coffee out of cups. 3 Amazon women sitting on a couch. It's a party. Defining this art in a particular place and time. Getting your letters in the mail, a pornographic playing card. Finding friends in magazines, friends on the shelf. Communicating with the dead. The television said, a moment, a conversation. Yes, because how you talk is your business. Exactly. No footnotes, no quotation marks. Everyone will know. He'd be making these tapes. He said, I don't know what they're going to be used for. The important thing was listening. The quarrels of the squirrels, the cat splash in the bathtub. These were poems everyone knew. The school where once the Quonset huts grew. It has more to do with the way you walk through a day than the words you put on paper. The absurdity of everything except the words. Absolute sky. Only in the west, where the land is uncovered, a moment early in the evening when the ghost of the day remains in the sky, a buzz more than a color, a screen between the daylight and the darkness. This space replaces love, or is the haze into which love evaporated. You can sense the ocean, but you can't see it from here. That's the best I can do. In my glove compartment, there's a book of matches from the Algiers Motel and Restaurant in Las Vegas. That's where it starts, Nevada, Arizona, land without branches. Love dies and flies to the sky above the desert. Skip to the part where I left my heart. High on a hill, high on a sidewalk, the free-fall eastern seaboard, my San Francisco friends in the Chelsea Hotel. This is called Late Superimpositions. This is about Harry's memorial in Manhattan. Went to the city to make it final and found mostly unfinished business. The unseen film number 14. Numerology provides a title, but only if you know the code. You know I don't. A memorial service that ended halfway through. So much happened, and nothing changed. I look at the sky to say goodbye. He smiles down, transparent in the window, one arm raised, forefinger pointing up, half a butterfly wing. Thursday afternoon, smiling on the cold, cold streets. Beats in a bookstore, free drinks, unexpected encounters, string beans in Chinatown, no lights in the apartment, a bad dance band in a big dark church, the limelight. What did I do with Friday afternoon? Tea at Barney's with Eileen, her dream of a beach. Saturday night, a woman named Rosebud, Harry's ashes in a box on the table. At one point it was snowing. Symbols made of string. Crying near the shower curtains. All memories are sad. Another converted church. So many people in black, so many instruments for recording. A ritual with frankincense and very little mirth, very little oxygen and very many people. So many friends coming in out of the cold. This was the night I puked twice in the street, not even drunk. 2nd Avenue, I guess. Too much smoke and not enough food. Someone else's ecstasy. I can't tell the whole story. I can't come close. I can only show the bones. The coffee cup cold. Holding up his finger in the window. Are you being creative today? He was a friend of mine. She left me at Christopher Street. Aversion. Beth Bleecker. She never recovered from love. The men that are left have other intentions. I have big fingers. Looking for work. The music of 40 years. The inability to appreciate beauty, something weak or extreme. The sex between the wars. My inflated face. Looking for work, hiding from humans. Hurt. Words for a loss. The exciter lamp blows. Oh, show us the way. And one more oldie. Scorpio. Full moon in Scorpio. I don't know what it means, but everyone mentioned it. One silver woman I really admire. Things changed while I was away. One sun woman was so good, giving me her old clothes, talking me through my snake vision. The stars so far from here. Same big moon. If you have trouble seeing during the day or night, slow down. Obsession in every direction. Profitez la chance. She hates love. She eventually gets her monkey. It wasn't a suicide, but it was an important death. Okay, so I'm going to read some stuff from this millennium. My East Coast poems, I guess. This one's called Greener Than Any Garden. Because, you know, New Jersey's the garden state. Good tomatoes and corn. New Jersey, such a sad old place, ravaged now centuries. Wind-blown trash and debris caught in the brush and the trees, some festive decoration. On the grass divider at the light near exit 12, a collection of paper coffee cups on the grass, some person tossed from window, waiting for light to change. Waiting for light to change. Trees lean dangerously toward the water along the Delaware-Raritan Canal. Dug up importantly for commerce, then forgotten. An intrusion became an attraction. This man-made nature where we walk the path between the river and the ravage. Amid the trees, unseen, ghosts of the Lenape weep. This place was once beautiful. You can glimpse it between the wires, above the rooftops. Something savage, natural, salvaged. The early snowfall before the soot that soils the whiteness. The sky too dark to show the stains. The movement of birds that flit from tree to tree. The leaves, the breeze, these vestiges remain of a place once greener than any garden. Valentine number 2. She goes to the Dollar Tree wearing the wedding ring she'd found in her old jewelry box the night before. After all these years, it only fits on her little finger. She picks up a few cheap DVDs, some classics, $1 a piece. Copyrights expired, she imagines. Gets a copy of The Jungle Book, the live-action one, starring Sabu. She always had a thing for Sabu from adolescence on. The magic of film. You can see before you in all his youthful beauty a man who's probably been dead for 20 years. Driving home, she realizes the wedding band is no longer on her hand. It had probably been wrong to wear it in the first place. Too sentimental to sell, she'd insisted on utility, trying to ignore the emotional weight of that little bit of gold. She leaves the Dollar Tree without the lost love band of. Beside her on the seat, in a bag full of old movies, a slim plastic case boasting full-color photos of beautiful Sabu, youthful, having lost nothing. Excuse me. Chocolate on his face said he was the lobo mau, big and bad after Little Red Hat, Chapeuzinho Vermelho, Brazilian vermilion riding hood walking through the wood. We called it a garden. Jasmine flowers, pineapple, bougainvillea, the beautiful illusion, harmonious despair, money worries in the jasmine air, how to surmount that tiny amount, and mother on crutches. Really, there was no argument for staying anymore. We left behind that awesome shore, left behind bluest sky, barefoot boy, speaking 2 languages, left behind. Making coal cannon, listening to Baggs's groove, happily domestic, Monday night, cold outside, inside bright, music filling the space with joy, thelonious transcendent, splendid notes pouring out of my little aqua boombox. I'm throwing salt into the potatoes with a shimmy, like some beatnik chick in a 50s kitchen. These are a couple little short ones. Arriving in this tiny world, in need of reach, teach myself a new language. 1,000 birds dance as one, float above a wet winter field. This vision, this religion. Freight train blasts a minor chord across the morning. Gray morning sky, color of the snow that remains on the ground. Cold mirror. In Bound Brook. Driving to a gingerbread house with chocolate chip fortune cookies, I passed the weeping Alaska cedar I'd been told about. It rose dramatically, a green grizzly overtaking the mere brick bank beside it. Salt marsh at noon, tiny splash minnow ripples, dozens of fish, dozens of periwinkles. Marsh grass sways under soft cloud sky. The boy, bent in half, crouches in the water, hands open in the shallow flow, catching fish and shellfish in his cupped fingers. Suddenly he stands, shouts, "Do you think I'm gonna make it?" "No," Mom replies, matter of fact. He leaps to the other side of the stream, almost, lands with a big splash. 2 grins. Crickets sing in the tall grass behind. Sky stretches wide, open, endless, blue as you can imagine. Clouds hover above the town, all promise and protection. I said before that I did a lot of appropriated poetry, and one of the nice things about living in New Jersey is the Geraldine Dodge Foundation. They host every other year the largest poetry reading in North America, which is amazing. And if you live in New Jersey and you're a teacher, they do have these free workshops, which are great. And one of the things I learned was the cento form, which I had not studied before, which is basically every line is a line from a different poem. So I wrote a couple of these, and it's, you know, of course you're stealing from the best, so they're wonderful, you know. But they're fun, so cento 2. Noticing stones, bright moon against deep black space, an open door, black flowers, lifting them up from the darkness to kiss, beautiful beyond change. I mean, it's kind of neat because every line is from a different poem, so you're interacting with 20 different poets at once. Apart from them, the place, a few white clouds, blowing our hair, and the wind isn't song. Some impossible mirror, unexpected beauty on my pillow. Someone who loves the water. I held some ice, blue from the very edges to the center, little pleasant splashes of whiskey or elixir. Thousands of green surprises, swaying back and forth, tossing like horses. Somebody else's father, pointing up and shouting through the door in the sky. It was not the white butterfly that saved the lives of the Chilean miners who slowed down their truck to get a closer look at their unusual visitor, half a mile underground. The miner who noticed, who chose to see, pausing moments before a rock slide crashed onto the path before him, saved his own life by doing so. At every moment there are white butterflies all around us. Aromatic roses, weeds with flowers of the color purple. When we choose to acknowledge the minuscule wonders, when we pause in our tracks to gaze at a spectacular sky streaked with clouds, when we stop to observe the dew in a spiderweb, when we recognize the exquisite light coming through the blinds, painting shadow stripes on the potted plant in the living room, we make our lives the miracles they are capable of being. We live through this world much more than we live in it. Eyes on our keypads, buds in our ears, blinding us to the soaring hawk, drowning out the bird song in the trees, not drowning out that horn. In the dark, desolate minds of the everyday, spots of brilliance flutter all around us. It's we who choose to remain trapped in the rubble underground or lift our eyes to the sight right before us, reflecting light. I'm going to do 2 short poems, and then I'm going to read a little bit of the memoir, just 1 page. This is called Shards. Ice or broken glass, shards of sharp shining in my path. I step on them, half aware of the dog's tender paws walking beside me. A photograph torn in half, dramatic gesture, infantile, my child choosing the absent parent, my image crumpled on the floor, my heart, ice or broken glass. I wrote this one a couple weeks ago, sitting in my hammock, lying in my hammock, it's not. I have work behind me, work ahead, but right now I'm lying in the hammock, watching the clouds. Fireflies sparking the twilight, calm hum of nearby lawnmower. At 8:57, I gave myself this time to do nothing until 9. This could be the best 3 minutes of my life. That's how we relax in New Jersey, 3 minutes at a time. So I'm writing a memoir of my first year in Brazil, and I've been working on it for 10 years. I don't really understand the mathematics of that. And this is a kind of an introduction that I added after the fact. Maybe that's why it's taken me 10 years. This little bit is called "There's No Sin South of the Equator," which is apparently what some pope or other decided in order to encourage immigration to South America. And it still works. That rule still holds. It's kind of nice. In 1941, Walt Disney was a staunch supporter of FDR's Good Neighbor policy, a program of economic and cultural exchange and goodwill between the nations of the Western Hemisphere, which was initiated as the war in Europe reached a boiling point. Disney joined a crew of his artists on a joint to explore South America, resulting in the production of 2 films that were part travelogue, part comedy, part a respectful celebration of the local music. The films combined inventive animation with live action. Brazil appears in each of these films. In The Three Caballeros, Donald Duck finds himself swept off to Bahia with Zé Carioca, the cigar-smoking, Portuguese-speaking good-time parrot. The film includes the classic Arriba Rosso composition Bahia, a song covered by artists from Carmen Miranda to John Coltrane. This technicolor tribute to the land of happiness still captures the allure that is Bahia 70 years after it was made. In Saludos Amigos, the earlier film, Donald and Zé meet for the first time in Rio de Janeiro. Donald introduces himself with his arms stiffly extended to shake hands. Zé explodes with emotion, all in Portuguese, at meeting this famous American star, embracing Donald in a powerful bear hug. The pair then follow an oversized watercolor paintbrush that provides scenery one step ahead of them. They walk down several stairs to a sidewalk that paints itself in black and white swirls and then arrive at an outdoor cafe. They seat themselves while on the empty awning above them, the autonomous paintbrush inscribes cachaça, which is the name of the national liquor, a potent sugarcane distillate more similar to whiskey than rum. Donald proceeds to imbibe, breathing out fire which lights Zé's cigar. Obrigado, puffs Zé, leaning back in his chair. Donald begins to hiccup and finds that he is suddenly able to samba. Yes, this is the country where Donald Duck got drunk and learned to dance with or without his pants. Welcome to Brazil. Bem-vindo.